We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. While summer is a great time for recycling, some summer items should not be mixed in with your curbside recycling. Items like garden hoses, plastic planters, pool toys, squirt guns, and lawn chairs are generally not recyclable and are best donated to charity. If you have a question as to whether an item can be recycled, look for the recycling triangle and number, usually on the bottom of the product. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
Odyssey's going back to school, and we've got all the supplies you need, like A+ exclusive music stations and podcasts to help you or your student excel. Wake up and get the school day started with Acoustic Sunrise, the best mix of acoustic pop. Hit the books with Classical Odyssey, passionate classical music to help you focus while you study. Listen to essential school podcasts like Grammar Girl's Quick and Dirty Tips for Better Writing, and be inspired with TED Talks Daily. Get back to school with new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts on Odyssey.
Flo, there was a report that you addressed players and staff and stated that Tua Tagovailoa is our quarterback. What can you tell us? Is that accurate? What was the message, and why did you choose to deliver a message about Tua?
Look, I don't really get into. I mean, you guys know this. I don't get into conversations I have with the team, players. You know, those conversations are private. And like I've said before, I think it's just common courtesy to keep those kind of conversations, between myself and the player or the team. I will say that Tua is our quarterback. I think he's at a good training camp. I think he's made a lot of progress. I think he's made a lot of improvement, and we're pleased with where he is. He's going about his preparations for New England the way he should be, and that's where we are as a team.
So I know you said what you said about Tua. Is he going to be your Week 1 starter?
Yes. I don't know if I can be more clear. I mean, I don't know how many times you want to say it. I don't know how much more clear I can be here. Tua's a starter. Do I need to say it again?
Oh, he's not going to have to say it again at this point. Joe, let's get to the injury report real quick. Brought to you for the Miami Dolphins, brought to you by the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute. The experts there treat athletes of all levels, elite pros, active adults, and youth athletes. Recover your game. Visit uhealthsportsmedicine.com. Tight end Adam Shaheen and offensive lineman Liam Eichenberg were not at practice or weren't spotted at practice yesterday. Neither injury serious enough to put them on the injured reserve at this point. And Trill Williams, the cornerback there with a minor medical issue, missed practice as well. That's your injury report for the Miami Dolphins as they get set for the New England Patriots a week from Sunday.
Yeah, man. Tua versus Mac Jones. My God.
Just we all thought, right?
Yeah, no, I honestly didn't really see that coming. They're looking – who would ever thought we'd be talking about Josh Allen being the oldest starting quarterback in the AFC East at age 25. How about that one? 25 years old, and you're the oldest quarterback in this division, which, by the way, I think is going to be a blast. I think Patriots going to be really good. The Bills are going to be good. The Jets are going to be a lot better, in my opinion, too. This will be a fun one to see how it all plays out. And starts up next week with all the great college football this weekend going on. Got a lot of great high school football stuff as well. Got a lot of really good football games. We'll have that for you tomorrow with Larry Bluestein. Josie's going to join us to talk about that game Saturday at 3:30 on national TV on ABC, and of course you can hear it right here on 560. And Josie will join us for that part of it, the play-by-play, along with Don Bailey Jr., and get into some of the breakdowns on this game and what we expect. I will just say this, man, and it's going to be consistent this week with the Patriots and Alabama. They both have really good offensive lines, and if the tackles don't play well, and they run, both these teams run between the tackles for big yards, this game is over. This game will be over. If we're talking about Alabama running for some ridiculous amount of yards, way over 200, and if we're talking about next Sunday, we're talking about New England running for 180-plus yards, there's going to be a big problem because that just leads when somebody's running the ball. That leads to a lot more problems than somebody running the ball. That leads to pass protection, pass getting to the quarterback and dumping off and completing a high percentage of passes off play action. Just a lot of bad things happen, man, when you can't stop the run.
I have a question for you. You always say a lot of times when teams play like in Alabama and Ohio State or Clemson, one of these teams, they walk into the field already down 7-0 mentally. You know, and I love how you say that because I think it's 100% true how a team could walk into another stadium, whether it's their home stadium or another. Do you think that's the case here with Miami, that they're walking onto this field knowing it's the number one Alabama team and when they go into that Chick-fil-A game and basically mentally they're already down a little bit? Or do you think Miami, because of the De'Aaron King factor, because of the factor that they have so many guys experienced, that's a little bit different with this game?
So I'm not worried about De'Aaron King. The question with him going out, how about those other guys, and they look at who they're lining up are. So here's what I don't know, but I have played against it a long time ago, and I've told the story without beating it up about playing USC when they're number one team in the country in my senior year. And you're playing against guys that are going to be first and second round picks in NFL.
Hall of Famers, right, man.
And Alabama's got some of those guys going to line up. A couple guys on the offense line going to be first round picks, and they're big, and they're showing video, and you're watching tapes from last year. And you're seeing a guy on a really good team in the playoffs getting his ass kicked by Alabama, and you're going, I got to play against him. And then, you know, human nature, we all know, like, yeah, that guy's playing against.
Pretty good player.
He's as good or better than I am, and he's struggling. So I worry about that stuff.
Okay.
Because they're watching tape. There's no way that Manny Diaz is going to go, hey, no, we're not going to watch a tape of Alabama dominating everybody. We're not. I don't want you to watch that against the best teams in playoffs last year. You got to watch it. So, you know, it's great if you're going, well, that guy's in the first round. He's gone. But they've got him. So I do worry about that. And I'll just say this. I saw it for the first time when I was playing down here and then covering from NBC and started doing radio, going down on the sideline before the games when the Miami Hurricanes came out. And those guys kind of walked before we had rules and regulations. I saw those guys walk over while guys were stretching. And those guys looked up and they said, and by the way, they got this thing on the wall at the old Orange Bowl that says we've won 150 straight games. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I'm saying.
57 or whatever.
It just kept going up, and you're going, and you're going, man, they played a lot of good teams here. They don't lose. And now here comes all those first-round picks running on the field, and they're jawing at you. You're down 7-0.
Right.
You're down 7-0 unless you're really good, and you have equal talent on your team. Man, when those guys came out from USC.
Well, I can only imagine.
Here comes Ronnie Lott, Marcus Allen.
You said Marcus was the fullback, right?
He's a fullback.
I mean, that makes me laugh.
People go, wait a second. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Marcus Allen, junior year before his great senior year. Charles White, who was a first-round pick.
Jeez.
Didn't have the career Marcus Allen
Still
had.
Really good college football player.
I don't even know if he might have won the Heisman. I mean, I don't know right off the top, but I'm guessing one or both those guys won a Heisman. I don't know.
Did, right.
Maybe they just we're passing them out. And then, you know, for our poor defensive linemen, you're looking at that offensive line, and Anthony Munoz comes running out there. Cal was down 7-0 when they came on our field.
Before it even started.
Like, hey, it's your field, man. It's not ours.
Yeah, Charles White won it in 79, and then in 81, Marcus Allen won it.
Oh, God.
So just, in between George Rogers won, but 2 out of 3 years.
Yeah.
USC running back, fullback combination won it.
Man, what a combo. So I do believe that. And so the last 2 big games that the Canes, that consider big games for me, and we'll talk to Josie about this, was that North Carolina game. You're playing for a lot for that game, and I don't know what happened, whatever the stories are, but you got your ass kicked. And the Clemson game up there where you're feeling pretty good, and the penalties that killed some good plays early, and then you were done. So those are chances. 2 best teams they played against, and it wasn't, So how much you learn from that? It's new year. Everybody's a year older. But I hope you don't run on the field down 7-0.
Right.
And by the way, those Canes guys will tell you, yeah, man, I saw when they saw me come out, they knew I was a top 10 pick or top 15 pick, and I came out jumping on the field, especially my own field. You got a big problem. So we'll see. All that stuff, man. Got to get off to a good start, though. You can't have a negative play or get a first down and have a holding call, and all of a sudden, instead of a first down at the 40,
you got to punt it.
Either 40,
right.
And all of a sudden you're moved back and you're in 3rd and 30, and they tee off and sack your quarterback and you punt, and the big mo is over. You're like, oh, we just gave the best team what,
Well, it's exactly what they wanted you to play into at that point.
And my other thing is, this just for me, that I look at this game and you've got the most talented team versus the most experienced team, maybe in college football. Most talented team, whether they played or not, just the amount of 4- and 5-star players versus this experienced team where all these guys decided to come back and for a 5th or 6th year or 4th year and didn't want to take a chance of not getting drafted or drafted. None of them were going to get drafted high, but some low draft picks to come back. And so those guys got to be your big horses in this game, man. And you can't expect young guys to come out that haven't played a lot. But they got a lot of experience everywhere. How good is the talent?
Right.
That's the other question.
I think
Experience is great, but at some point,
of course, got to play the game.
Those Alabama guys, they know they're talented. Even the dudes that haven't played yet know they're pretty damn good. Right. They've been told their whole life how good they are. All right, we got a lot more stuff. Have Joe Z join us. Joe Z will get rolling all these matchups. By the way, one of the few guys that's been able and allowed to go to every practice has been Joe Z leading up to all this. So we'll talk to him about all this stuff and get that all rolling for you. But before we get rolling, I do want to do one thing. I want to get you fired up and ready to go with a new, really tasty energy drink just in time for the football weekend coming up. I'm talking about Edge Energy Drink delivered right to your front door. It's got kind of I was drinking one last night, threw a little vodka in there, a little cream soda, citrus taste with no aftertaste. So, through the years, I've tried all these energy drinks. I think this one's by itself. Before a workout, needing a little pick-me-up when you're dragging during the day just to get going, or even a new drink out there, if you add some of this Edge Energy drink into a little rum or vodka and mix it in, it is one tasty drink that you are going to love, man. You like your energy drinks? I know you're going to love this one, and you have to try Edge if you haven't done it. I'm going to tell you exactly how you can get it. It has the fastest and most affordable delivery service in the game, and I love this. With their 30-minute or less delivery guarantee, it gives them the edge over the competition. After you place your order, be sure to watch out for the checkered flag from the Liquor Split race team, because cut the bull, get the edge. Edge Energy Drink today. Get yours at liquorsplit.com. That's liquorsplit.com. Edge Energy Drink. It's a lifestyle. Ice it up and enjoy it this coming weekend, man.
We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. While summer is a great time for recycling, some summer items should not be mixed in with your curbside recycling. Items like garden hoses, plastic planters, pool toys, squirt guns, and lawn chairs are generally not recyclable and are best donated to charity. If you have a question as to whether an item can be recycled, look for the recycling triangle and number, usually on the bottom of the product. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
This is Neil Strauss, host of the hit true crime podcast, To Live and Die in LA. We're back with a new season covering an intense and occasionally dangerous missing persons case that actually sent me down this rabbit hole of true crime investigations. From Tenderfoot TV, To Live and Die in LA Season 2 is available now. Listen for free on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Or binge the entire season ad-free on Tenderfoot Plus.
Odyssey's going back to school, and we've got all the supplies you need, like A+ exclusive music stations and podcasts to help you or your student excel. Wake up and get the school day started with Acoustic Sunrise, the best mix of acoustic pop. Hit the books with classical Odyssey, passionate classical music to help you focus while you study. Listen to essential school podcasts like Grammar Girl's Quick and Dirty Tips for Better Writing, and be inspired with TED Talks Daily. Get back to school with new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts on Odyssey.
CuriosityStream has thousands of documentary films and shows on demand on any device. We're the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientist in us. Back to school means getting 25% off annual plans at CuriosityStream. That's a little over $1 a month for thousands of brain-boosting documentaries. Hurry, sale ends Monday.
We gotta sing it!
Pretty big game coming up Saturday, Joe. 3:30 here.
You think?
And you can hear it here on 560, the Joe WQAM.
Number one team in the country.
Pre-game starts at 11:30, and the voice you're going to hear, by the way, on that broadcast outside of Don Bailey Jr. is going to be this guy, Joe Zagacki, the voice of the Miami Hurricanes. Josie, good morning. I would say happy Alabama week, but we're almost here already. It's Thursday morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's been a fun week getting ready. Well, it's been a fun month getting ready for these guys. And, I told Blake James, I said, you let me know what time that bus leaves on Friday for the airport. I'll be there about 6 a.m. I'm not missing it.
Right. No, man. It is so good. You and I were talking the other night about this. A little smaller, a little faster defense going against that big, strong Alabama team, and it was kind of a throwback. I remember we had the small linebackers there for a while, so always had the great defensive line, and those guys ran around. You couldn't block them. Looks like Kane's going a little bit to that for this game against Alabama.
No question, Joe. At linebacker, you got Keontra Smith at one spot along with Corey Flagg. Keontra is 5'11", 205. I'll tell you, I watched him on the practice field, though, the other day, and he loves playing football. It was about 1,002 degrees out there. He took his helmet off and said, "Who opened the oven door? Let's play some more football." It was smoking hot. And then Corey Flagg, he's not much bigger, 5'11", 236, but those guys get downhill in a hurry, and they're going to have to be a disruptive force. Right? They cannot go toe-to-toe with Evan Neal or Jalen Cohen.
Are they can't wait for this matchup, or are they, oh, crap?
The mental part, right?
That'll be the interesting part. Joe, I'm sorry we lost you for a second, bud. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. I heard you guys talking about that, and I do think, and I talked to Mike Harley and Bubba Bolden about it the other day, that I'm not so sure right now that Miami's looking at Alabama going, oh, boy, all these number one draft choices, and certainly Alabama has had plenty since Nick Saban has been there. They've had 39 first-round picks since 2009. But I do think this, when you play Alabama, one of the biggest enemies in the game, whether, you can talk about their running game and their size and their tackling and their pass rush, once you play in that game, one of the biggest enemies is morale. And I think that is going to be important for Miami to maintain their morale, maintain their confidence, because Alabama, they embarrass teams. That Miami would not be the first team to get embarrassed. I'm not saying they are, but Alabama embarrasses teams, and I think a big part of it does become morale, and I think that's where De'Aaron King comes in, because I think King gives Miami a backbone, and I think that's one of the biggest differences with De'Aaron King on the roster. I think his leadership has really been significant for the University of Miami.
All right, we know the leadership with Derek, and I wanted to bring him up anyway and talk to you about that. They're going to line up. You're going to see Alabama's guys out there, like we just talked about, all the guys that will probably be first-round picks, this and that. But on Saturday, at some point, is there a possibility that De'Aaron King is the best player on the field for both teams?
Well, I would like to say, as much respect, Zach, as I have for De'Aaron King, the NFL would not agree with that.
I'm not talking about if you're going to be a good NFL player or not, because Tim Tebow wasn't a good NFL player, but there were times where he was the best player on the field for both teams, no matter who he lined up against. I'm talking specifically just Saturday.
Well, for Miami to have success in the game, he's going to have to be one of the best players, if not the best player. And he can do that in a variety of ways. He can do that with his decision-making. He is an excellent ball handler. He does an excellent job of influencing plays. And Coach Latchley's offense, with the misdirection that Miami wants to put into this game to slow Alabama down, a lot of that hocus-pocus revolves around the ball handling of De'Aaron King. And then when it's open, when there are plays that are open, this is like in the NFL. Sometimes a guy is open, but not for very long. That window is going to shut. He's got to put the ball there and then get help on the other end. Someone's got to make the play. But I do think He has to be an elite player in this game. Obviously, I think Red Lashley's going to put them in a position where some things are going to open up. Alabama can defend a lot of things, but they have a couple of weaknesses themselves, and when it's open, Miami's got to punish them for it.
That's good stuff right there, too. You're exactly right. Hey, real quickly, give me the formula to win. I said fast start right off the bat. You can't have the negative plays going back to that Clemson game, which was also, loaded with talent, and they had a chance to make some plays, and they got called back because of penalties. What are your thoughts on a couple of keys for this team to win?
Well, if you go down the road, I heard, Joe, you mentioned the recent big games they played in, and you could take that North Carolina game or the Clemson game, or go back to when they opened up against Florida a couple of years ago, and the common denominator in those games was bad starts. And also the common denominator was a big play. Kadarius Toney won 74 yards on like the fourth play of the game. So I would wrap these two together. Miami cannot give Alabama big plays throughout the game, especially early, and they got to get off the field on third down. When they played Clemson in the championship game, opening drive, they had Clemson third down 3 times, and all 3 times Clemson converted. So they got to find Bolden, the wide receiver, on third down and take him away, make it tough on the quarterback, Bryce Young. But I would think his go-to guy on third down is going to be Slade Bolden. Most of his catches go for a first down. So no big plays, get off the field, and you have to be able to be in striking distance in this game, down in distance and on the scoreboard. Miami's not built to play Alabama and be third down and 12 and then hope De'Ara King can run for it. And they're not built to be down 21-0 in the third quarter against Alabama. So those would be a couple of my thoughts. Morale would be in there. And then for Miami, offensively, they've got to hit the big play. I don't know they can go 80 yards toe-to-toe with Alabama. So when it's there, and I think it will be there, I think the situation will present itself in either a play design or a route that is run, or maybe they can run by Josh Jobe. Something's going to be there. They got to land it.
Joe, I think every time we talk about the Miami Hurricanes, we always bring up the linebacker position, and I want to talk about the other side of the ball's linebacker position. Alabama's right now, and I know you've watched a tape, probably 100 times that spring game. That linebacker core, nationally ranked, probably the best in college football, if not top 3 in some people's eyes. How do you feel that's going to be against Cam Harris in this run game this weekend for the Hurricanes?
I don't know that I've ever seen a better linebacking crew in all the years I've done the games from any opponent. It just goes on and on. I'm looking at 6 guys right now, and I whip through them real fast. Will Anderson, freshman All-American. Christian Harris, he's from Baton Rouge, by the way. Christian Harris from Baton Rouge. How'd they go right into LSU's backyard? Right. Christian Harris is listed as the best linebacker in the country at 6'2", 232. They go right into the backyard of LSU. Henry Toho is a guy that transferred in from Tennessee, top 5 linebacker. Chris Allen is a great player. Another guy from Louisiana. He is a great player. Will Anderson is a fearsome pass rusher. And they get Jalen Moody. Drew Sanders is a 5-star guy who's listed as 6th on the depth chart and was the number 3 player out of the state of Texas. So it just goes on and on and on. Miami's going to that pass rush that they generate is going to be a problem. And so they create all kinds of protection issues because of their linebackers. De'Ara King is not the biggest quarterback. You know that Alabama's going to want to surround him. Those guys are big, so they get their arms up. That reduces the throwing lanes. That means Miami's going to have to move De'Ara King a little bit. And so throwing on the run, getting him out of the pocket, getting him off his spot is going to be important. And getting rid of the ball in a hurry will also be important. But those linebackers can take over any game at any time.
Joe, is this the most experienced team since you've been doing the games? And I know they've had really talented teams. I didn't say that. Is this the most experienced guys that have played so much football like this group for the Miami Hurricanes minus the defensive ends?
Well, it's in this modern era, whatever you want to call it, since the early 2000s. Back in the 80s and 90s, Miami was like Alabama because everybody stayed, and when they had a team on the field that a 2 deep, the other guys were also great players, but they couldn't get on the field, and they were freshmen and sophomores and didn't play till they were juniors. But since 2004, 2005, my biggest gripe has been Miami has not had old enough teams. Remember Duke Johnson got all that great playing time. He was a freshman. What would have a Duke Johnson look like with a Mark Walton in the backfield if both guys were juniors and seniors? They've never had that luxury until this year. And so this year they have it. De'Ara King is 24 years old. Jared Williams on the offensive line is an older player. Bubba Bolden. It goes on and on. This, without question, is the first team they've had in a long time where guys have planted their roots in the program. They know what the program stands for, and they know what the head coach, what his marching orders are. And it's really the continuity in the offense with Red Lashley and Coach Justice. They haven't had this kind of continuity in a long time. So I am optimistic that this will pay off as the season goes on.
Joe, it just seems like yesterday that Zach McLeod in the same recruiting class with Michael Barrow and Jesse Armstead coming to this university. That's a little joke there. Zach's been there a long time. But that story's been pretty good for Zach, changing positions, moving to defensive end position. I know that Manny talked about him a little bit with us also. How's he looked in your eyes to start on this defense now at a different spot?
Well, I think there are a couple of things about Zach McLeod. This will be his 53rd game for the University of Miami. He's had 4 sacks in his career. He's earned that starting spot. He's older. He's bigger. He's going to be older, bigger, and stronger than most guys that he goes up against this year. So I would expect him to have an impact on the defense. I always thought, Zach and Joe, that when he played alongside Pickney and Quarterman, that he had the biggest upside because of his size at 6'2", 254. I thought he was going to be a big, rangy linebacker that might have a better chance at it once he got to the NFL. So that hasn't completely worked out for him. He's taken the extra year to play defensive end, but strategically for Miami, it works out because you give him this responsibility to go after the quarterback, but it's not like he's forgotten all of his linebacker skills. This is a guy that should you dial up some kind of zone blitz or whatever, he can drop off into coverage. So he kind of gives Miami an interchangeable part at defensive end.
Fast start, Joe. Fast start, my man, and we'll see what happens. Just get off to a fast start. Don't have some negative plays early on, man. Joe, thank you, buddy.
Thanks,
really
Joe.
Appreciate it.
Stay in the game. Stay in the game.
That's right. That's right.
Joe's got this thing. Joe's already broken this thing down, man. He's gone through the first quarter. Who needs to make the catches, the run? Got to be able to run the ball so those guys can't tee off and everything else. Anyway, we got to go to break. A lot more stuff to get to here. 305-567-0056. That's a long O. We'll be right back.
Odyssey's going back to school, and we've got all the supplies you need, like A+ exclusive music stations and podcasts to help you or your student excel. Wake up and get the school day started with Acoustic Sunrise, the best mix of acoustic pop. Hit the books with classical Odyssey, passionate classical music to help you focus while you study. Listen to essential school podcasts like Grammar Girl's Quick and Dirty Tips for Better Writing, and be inspired with TED Talks Daily. Get back to school with new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts on Odyssey.
We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. While summer is a great time for recycling, some summer items should not be mixed in with your curbside recycling. Items like garden hoses, plastic planters, pool toys, squirt guns, and lawn chairs are generally not recyclable and are best donated to charity. If you have a question as to whether an item can be recycled, look for the recycling triangle and number, usually on the bottom of the product. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
This is Neil Strauss, host of the hit true crime podcast, To Live and Die in LA. We're back with a new season covering an intense and occasionally dangerous missing persons case that actually sent me down this rabbit hole of true crime investigations. From Tenderfoot TV, To Live and Die in LA Season 2 is available now. Listen for free on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Or binge the entire season ad-free on Tenderfoot Plus.
Odyssey now has hundreds of new exclusive music stations for you to discover your new summer soundtrack.
Get moving with worthy workouts for a cardio sesh fueled by today's top artists.
Hanging with your crew? Throw it back with Picnic Party for old school jams for your cookout.
Or sail away with Odyssey's new yacht rock station, Jugger Yacht.
For summer barbecues, road trips,
or relaxing poolside.
Hundreds of new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts. It's all on Odyssey.
Brought to you by Macy's, Geico, and Coke Zero Sugar.
Back. All right, I want to thank Joe Z for spending a little bit of time with us, kind of taking a look and trying to figure out how this thing's going to start and what it's going to look like with some of the matchups. So appreciate him spending a little bit of time with us today before taking off tomorrow for a game against the number one team in the country, University of Miami and Alabama, getting ready to play. By the way, the other thing coming out for people, golf season kind of the tour part of this thing, the PGA Tour, comes to a close this weekend. The reason I bring it up is because the guys that are left, there's only 30 players left for the FedEx Championship, Tour Championship. 30 players, first place will get $15 million. Second place, by the way, I finished second. 2 strokes off. Lost in a playoff. $5 million.
God. It's a nice little purse there for that, huh?
Man,
Good Lord.
That's some serious retirement money for the golfers, for the top guys that are in this thing. So
anyway, more worried about getting in third place than second place at this point.
Yeah, that's so anyway, that's going to be taking place. And, of course, they'll also be getting ready to pass out their PIP money, Player Impact Program, for the players that move the needle on social media, that trend. And by the way, isn't that a slam dunk? Doesn't Bryson DeChambeau get most of the $40 million that will be delivered and given out to the top 10 players? How would you like to somehow Bryson DeChambeau win this tournament, which, I mean, it could happen. He's just been playing a lot better. Just got to close a little better, make some putts. But get that $15 million to get a whole big fat piece of that $40 million for the beating he takes. But he's the only thing that trends, man.
Right. I mean, how are they splitting it up? How are they, I mean, like, because if they're splitting up just by popularity or what's moving the needle right now, it's nobody but DeChambeau. I mean, you might be able to put Koepka in there also because of that little, whatever they have, the rift they have going, but that's it.
Well,
Phil Mickelson's the only other person.
You can look at, there's different ways to do it, obviously. Dominate your sport is always a good one, Tiger Woods. Second of all is the way that Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka, some people thought it was good for the sport because people are talking about the sport, even though, it's 2 of the best players. 2 of the top 10 players in the world don't like each other,
right,
and they're both from this country. So that was an interesting one. Completely different personalities. If you watch the tour, Brooks Koepka likes to get over the ball, hit it fast, is all about majors, and we'll tell you what's on his mind. Bryson DeChambeau wants to hit it 400 miles and then study the shot that he just hit or is getting ready to hit for an extra 5 minutes. So he's a slow player is what I'm saying. So anyway, and then Phil Mickelson, who, is kind of, hell, you can make an argument outside of Bryson DeChambeau, most talked about or probably the most popular player on tour right now. So through social media and all the ways to make a top 10 story, I mean, I would ask everybody, how do you make a top 10 story? Phil Mickelson win a major after 50, unbelievable. Or the Bryson DeChambeau, who came back freakish, hitting the ball 9,000 miles, or the fact that things that people deal with every day, slow play, which, by the way, I see guys getting fights at clubs when they're drinking. If you've ever been out, I'm going to ask everybody out there, because I know how I feel about slow play. You got a group in front of you that's playing real slow and not playing well, and they're spraying it, and then they go look for the ball, and they have their water retriever, and they're trying to get it out, and there's 4 groups behind, and they're all MFing this guy while they're drinking cold beers. That's the Bryson DeChambeau that everybody's mad at for guys. And I also know guys that if you play too slow, well, first of all, Guys will go, dude, we'll play with you because you're a fun game.
Pick it up.
But you got to pick it up, dude. We lose 30 to 40 minutes. Even the friggin' ranger who drives around in a golf cart comes around and goes, hey, fellas, got to pick it up. Nobody likes that. When you get that, it messes your head up. Like, really? Because of your ass, man. Hit the damn ball straight and quit looking. If you hit it in the water, just go drop and hit. Any order. So, that all that stuff comes into play. But, yeah, those guys playing between the player impact program, which is really weird because a lot of guys are complaining that, we try to be good guys, do things the right way. Some of the tour players, the top players, came out yesterday, said, listen, man, we're not like other sports. We're not. You don't boo us. You don't call us names. We're a different sport. And they were trying to make the point, like they're out there going, yeah, Bryson DeChambeau's getting called stuff, and people heckle him a lot, like we've never heard.
Brooksy.
Well, a lot worse than Brooksy is what they're saying.
Right.
So anyway, that stuff's going on, and I was thinking, I was trying to be fair to it last night, and I'm listening to these guys, and for those guys, including the guy he called out, like, can you stop moving? I mean, dude, that's something we do. Like,
right.
Dude, stop talking and moving. We're playing for something. Can I hit this shot? He did it on TV. the guy, and that guy defended him saying, it's bad, man. This social media stuff and this stuff that we're doing. Matter of fact, if I get any of that PIP money, I'm giving it away to charity. It's bad. This is not good for our sport. Because the only stories are going to be talking about Bryson DeChambeau, who's the guy that nobody likes, and Brooks Koepka, who now everybody likes because he calls out Bryson DeChambeau as the big freak on the
Yeah, but there's ways for the guys at the bottom to get a lot of hits on social media.
What do they do?
The last two guys who aren't going to make the cut or something could just have a fight on 18th, just drop their clubs, drop their putters, and just square off. That would make news.
But look,
it would definitely make news.
I don't know why I'm always trying to add fighting into golf.
Always.
Could you imagine if the two last place guys just squared off on the 18th green?
I mean, that's just so stupid.
Okay, but you have to admit that would be the headline of the tournament.
Those guys will call each other out like, hey, you're moving. Do you mind stop? Or your caddy. Or, hey, let me just give you some a guy hit a shot. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Bryson DeChambeau. Hit a long one, and he didn't yell four. And he didn't make a movement. So the guy playing with him said, hey, man, you got to let people know, that's golf etiquette. Let them know, 4, and you start pointing. The ball's headed towards them. That's big news in that sport.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah.
Or occasionally we get a guy that flirts with cheating.
Oh, right.
But outside of that.
Rules of golf, right.
But outside of that.
You could have like a Happy Gilmore type meltdown.
Yeah, I mean, if something like that happens, sure.
Screaming like a crazy person.
By the way, you break your club, you make TV. If a guy slams it and he goes, I don't know if you've noticed, but the last 5 holes, he doesn't have a putter. He broke it, and here it is. And it shows the guy, hitting it against the tree or hits it against his bag, and it snaps in half.
But realistically, who else is going to be a part of this outside of the guys we've already named?
The guys who are going to fight on 18.
Unless the Hollywood is right.
Texter,
and a fight
by the way,
breaks
from
out.
the 305 says golf players are mentally weak. And I think in some regards they are. But again, like what I saw on Sunday with the BMW Championship, like that's a ridiculous level of stress to be under. There's a lot of people there, a lot of people watching. You're in like what did it go, 7 playoff holes, 6 playoff holes?
So
there's a lot of pressure on that.
I want everybody to remember this because the Ryder Cup just gets downright nasty. They're going to be playing. I believe it's going to be coming up here real soon, but it's going to be in this country. How do you think our fans, liquored up, are going to treat those guys coming overseas to play? Well, most of them live here anyway, but what do you think it's going to be like them? They're not even going to feel like they have a home here in the United States. That gets ugly. But I got to tell you guys, I think I got a little soft overnight, man. Listen to those guys like you have no idea what people say to Bryson DeChambeau when he's out on them. Like, he gets called stuff. Like, I know you're supposed to be able to block stuff out.
Like what, steroid? Like what gets thrown at him? I'm just saying.
You could say steroid head.
I'm just saying, like
what? I mean, come on, man. How bad could it be?
The players have insinuated that he takes steroids.
Right, but like what could be said to him that is just so so where he has to. I mean, Brooksy pisses him off. I mean, you can call him Whopperhead. You can call him something. He's going to be pissed off at this point.
But you got, I don't know, man. I've just.
Aren't you allowed, I'm not for the crazy treatment of athletes here, but aren't you allowed if you buy a ticket to a certain extent to kind of voice your opinion at the event?
I guess
towards
not
the athletes that you're paying to watch. And listen, I'm not that guy that's berate people and scream like a lunatic at games, but if a guy's not performing or you want to voice your opinion, don't, as a ticket holder, don't you just have somewhat of a right within reason to do that?
Have you been out and walked around before we lost our tournament in Dade and Broward? Did you ever go to any?
I did, actually.
Okay.
Yes.
So then you know that they had these things up that they go up and down the fairway around where you tee off to quiet, please. Big.
Oh, I know, but that's not at all times. It's not like when they're walking.
No, but when they get ready to hit, quiet, please.
Don't, as a ticket holder, don't you have some sort of right? As long as you're not cussing and being out of control, can't you say some
I think to
stuff?
a point.
I mean,
you know those guys, by the way. You know those guys before they hit. The caddy, by the way, knows to go, hey, guys, quiet, please. Hey, you guys over there chugging beers. Quiet, man. Thank you for doing that, man. So I don't look bad.
Right. Well, the golfer doesn't. It looks horrible. Right.
People don't like Bryson DeChambeau, man. I feel bad. I don't know how he changes his image. I don't know what he can do. I think he's fun to watch because he just – by the way, every guy that gets out there on a Saturday or Sunday has a six-pack of beer and swings from his ass. You should love this guy.
Right.
Swings. He makes Tiger Woods the way Tiger used to swing. He makes him look like a minor leaguer the way this guy swings. He puts the big boy out there going, oh, no, he shouldn't do this. Oh, no. Anyway, we got to go to break here. Zach, what do you got for us this morning?
I can tell you about Insperity and what they could do for your business. If you're a business owner and you're feeling the pressures right now of running your business, and there's a limit to what you could do to still keep employees engaged, Insperity can help. They got 30-plus years of HR experience to work with you to help with your hiring and your training, your HR administration, and compliance while giving your employees competitive benefit options. And because you're able to focus on other priorities, your employees can thrive and your business can grow. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Full service HR, employee benefits, HR technology, Insperity HR. Insperity HR that makes a difference.
On Pod Save the World, we want to be your cheat sheet for global events. My name is Tommy Vitor, and each week, my co-host Ben Rhodes and I break down the biggest stories from around the world. Ben and I both worked on President Obama's national security staff, and we'll introduce you to the activists, politicians, and journalists who can help us understand what's going on around the world, what it means for the United States, and what it's like being inside the White House Situation Room during a crisis. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your pods.
The COVID-19 pandemic showed us how a microscopic virus could upend our lives. There is so much out there that we need to understand. But for every threat, there are heroes working at the edges of science and policy to protect us. I'm Dr. Abdul El-Sayed, former Detroit Health Director and host of Crooked Media's America Dissected. Every episode, I talk to the doctors, scientists, culture makers, and policy leaders who are working out new ways to protect us against our biggest threats. New episodes of America Dissected every Tuesday. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Odyssey's going back to school, and we've got all the supplies you need, like A+ exclusive music stations and podcasts to help you or your student excel. Wake up and get the school day started with Acoustic Sunrise, the best mix of acoustic pop. Hit the books with classical Odyssey, passionate classical music to help you focus while you study. Listen to essential school podcasts like Grammar Girl's Quick and Dirty Tips for Better Writing, and be inspired with TED Talks Daily. Get back to school with new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts on Odyssey.